Hello guys, welcome to this week's episode of DOSBite, where in this week's episode I will be taking you down memory lane of my awesome Windows 98 build that I will get to in a moment, so do not go anywhere. If that sounds interesting to you, don't forget to like and subscribe this video. And if this is your first time here, I'm Dave from DOSBite, and I talk about old computers, old games, and occasionally, as you saw last week, even old software. So if that sounds interesting to you, subscribe now. So anyway, in this week's video I wanted to talk about a little bit about my awesome little case here that I built myself. So back in the day when I was a teenager, I was really proud of myself because I bought myself a Packard Bell, which you can probably see. It's a sort of a 2001 Packard Bell. I can't remember the model because at the time I wasn't really bothered, but it came with like a Celeron, I think a 20 gigabyte hard drive. The Celeron was about 1.1 gigahertz. It had 128 megabytes of RAM, and that seemed a lot at the time. I'll be brutally honest, it wasn't the best machine, but it did me at the time, and I really enjoyed using it. Go forward about 20 years, work that out, I decided that I wanted, well, I'd actually built my own computer, and I want to build a retro computer because that particular computer just wasn't working and different things were wrong with it. So I decided to go on my journey. So what did I do? I built my own. So I thought it'd be really cool. It's beneficial to me. As you can see here, I absolutely love it. It was a nice blue case. I thought it was really nice. So I decided to keep the Packard Bell case. It's very nice. And even though I played around with different boards and chips and I took different ones in and out, I decided to keep the Celeron in it. I'm not a fan of Celeron. I would have preferred a Pentium 3, but for whatever reason I couldn't get the Pentium 3 to work that I got from another computer that was even older to work. So I don't know if the board was broke or the chip wasn't working. So anyway, I kept with the Celeron, and that kept its 128 megabytes of RAM. The hard drive that was in it was broke, so I took that out. Took out the hard drive from the older computer, and this is a little power tip actually. I know there's loads of you out there that can install the old Windows easily, but I just found it easier for me to plug in a hard drive where I knew Windows was working. I had Windows 98 on it, and I plugged it in and off I went. And I'll tell you what, it was initially I was like oh, but it did recognise it, it did boot up, and because it had new hardware connected to it, it just had to reinstall a load of drivers. Some of you will probably know that the older Windows, like Windows 95, Windows 98, seems to do this thing where it likes to install drivers multiple times, or at least appear like it is. I don't know why, it just likes to do that. So that was sort of part of the journey, which was really cool. And it did that, it worked fine, it booted up, I was like, yeah! And then I had no sound. Now, I could have perhaps bought a sound card or did a bit of research on what cards I could have used with that was compatible with both the motherboard and Windows 98, but I didn't really want to spend any money on it. I was literally building this with parts I already had. It was just a side project one weekend. So for a little while I had no sound, and I did play a few games on it, things like Doom and stuff like that. Stronghold, I know that's a bit later on, but that was sort of the age I used to like to play. Age of Empire, stuff like that. But I really wanted sound to work, and I wanted the easy way to do it. So I did what I do on a lot of things. I put in the comments below if you can relate to this. I watched a YouTube video, funny enough, and I found a video. Now I know there's mixed opinions on this, but basically it's like a sound card USB dongle is the best way I'll describe it, and you basically plug it in, and apparently it worked on old Windows. So I was like, you know what, let's see how much it was. And you can literally buy them, it varies, I've seen them up to about a tenner, but at the time it only cost me £1 or £2, and I'm only talking about 6 months ago. So it was literally on eBay, I think I got it from, or Amazon, one or the other, and it literally cost me £1 or £2, not really a lot. So if it didn't work, it didn't really matter. So I got it in, got really excited, plugged it in. Windows 98 did its found new hardware thing, installed the same driver 80,000 times, and there it was working, sound was working, I was so happy. And this beauty was now playing games, and I must admit I don't get out as much as I should because I usually put it in the cupboard with all the other 50,000 computers I feel I have, but I love it. And I play like Theme Hospital, Need for Speed, CivNet, all the games I used to play at the time. Please put in the comments below your stories of builds that you're building on or want to build on. It'd be really interesting to hear those stories. We also have a Facebook community page of over 100,000 members now, which is incredible. There is a link to that in the description. And if you would like to support this growing channel, we've also started a Buy Dave a Coffee, so there'll be a link to that also in the description if you want to donate to the growing channel. Thank you so much for watching. I want to leave 2 end cards that will give you even more value on this channel. So if you enjoyed that, don't forget to like and subscribe, and you know what? I'll see you down the road.